Hey yo.
Welcome to Book Talk number 6, I think. Scum Villain
Yes.
Self-saving System, volume 3. I know how many fingers to hold up. I know what book we're on. This is things I know. So for this month/week, Sam and I read Scum Villain, which is my pick. This is the final volume of the main story arc. There's one more volume, volume 4, which covers extras, which are non-linear, just short stories that take place over the world. But this is the conclusion of the main storyline. I took lots of notes for my reread, and I am hyped to hear what Sam thinks. As soon as she focuses back in on us. So, Sam, what did you think?
Yes. Hold on.
Okay.
I am unsure. Waiting until the stream started to ask all these questions is rather inconvenient.
Chat, have you guys read Scum Villain before?
In CV.
Let's see. Can I do a little poll? I can do a poll. You read Scum Villain. Start poll. It's just on my channel, not on Sam's, because I don't have access to Sam's. Or maybe I do. I don't know how to post it.
What are you doing now?
Oh, I was just posting a poll on my channel to see if people have read Scum Villain or not.
I will go post the poll on my channel. So, all right, what were you going to ask me? Don't we usually summarize the plot arc before we get to that point?
Possibly. Okay. So in book 3 of Scum Villain, spoilers ahead, by the way. I think we have a little. We have a what?
We have a spoiler banner.
Yes. It picks up directly where the last volume left off, which is with, let me double check this. Okay, yeah. Lu Binghe taking Shen Xinju, our lead, back to his manor in the Demon Palace and being like, hey, you're my prisoner now. And being kind of crossing some lines. And then middle of that, Shen Xinju is yoinked out of his plant body, rip the mushroom body, and wakes up in basically the tomb that all of the demonic rulers hang out in, or are buried in, same difference, to a character's name I don't know how to pronounce. Tianlun Jun, who's Lu Binghe's dad, and then also Lu Binghe's cousin, Zhuzhi Long, who's a half snake person. And I don't even know how to summarize all of this. Okay, so Lu Binghe shows up, and they're like, hey, let's fight. Lu Binghe does not know that's his dad. There's multiple kidnappings. There are so many kidnappings in this book, which I think is partly why I enjoy it so much, because I love a good kidnapping or capturing.
So many kidnappings.
And then there's a small break of kidnapping when when Liu Qingge shows up, that's our Baijian war god, and helps Lu Binghe and Shen Xinju escape from Lu Binghe's family. And this entire time, Shen Xinju is like, hey, Lu Binghe's gay now? Question mark. But I here am a straight man. I only like women. Everyone around me is also straight except Lu Binghe. Especially Lu Chinga. And
That man is ace.
then they end up getting captured again. It all culminates. And okay, so
for a boy love, they don't spend any time together.
No, there's not much. Yeah, that's what I think volume 4 is mostly like, and this is them interacting. Because the first book is them interacting, and then the second book is not them interacting, and then the third book's even less than them interacting, but a surprising amount of beds. Which they don't get to sleep in together. There's notably a couch at one point, but still no sleeping happens. It culminates where the evil demon sword Jinmo is taking over Lu Binghe's mind after Tailan Jun attempts to merge the demonic realm and the human realm, which will basically mean bad things for everyone. And Shen
I'm not convinced he was wrong.
To stabilize Lu Binghe, they have sex because this is at heart a porn novel world, so they have to dual cultivate. And then Shen Shu's like, hey, I'm gonna stop abandoning you because that's clearly triggering some trauma that I didn't realize I was triggering. But also the demon sword plaguing your mind's no longer an issue. Let's go off into the sunset together. And then it ends! You get no resolution. There's like, hey, there's a whole nother book for that. For now, we're just gonna like cut you off. This is it. It's implied they live happily ever after. Yeah. So that's this book. I'm sure that was a very concise and clear and very understandable summary. You're welcome.
If you desire to leave, you can leave this way or that way, but not across the keyboard. See how displeased she is with this?
So, what did you think, Sam?
Still not convinced he's gay. Grace, maybe. And that's stretch. The only sex scene we got was the self-sacrificing sex scene.
Yeah, no one enjoyed that sex scene.
Not the best. The opening scene of this book, I know what I sat with myself and listened to it like 3 times to make sure I understood what was going on. So yeah. I suspect the author has read a lot of webtoons. No shade. I love me some webtoons. Okay. I love me some webtoon tropes. Me too. And I know what they were going for in the opening scene because I read it in so many webtoons. Boy love, straight, not in girl. Well, there are very few girl love webtoons comparatively, but it's.
You were really quiet, and I don't know if it's my side or not.
I shall yell my feelings to the sky.
Okay.
And hopefully chat won't tell me I'm too loud. But yeah, so I believe the author was going for, and they're usually kind of hot. It's a scene where like the more aggressive evil lover is, getting physically assertive, and the other person is like morally trying to resist them, but they actually really want them. Yeah, they're like, oh, you know what? Being tossed down on a bed isn't that bad. No, wait, I can't love you. You're a demon king. And I think that's what they were going for, but that is so not what was portrayed on page. And I feel like this novel would have so much more romantic if we were not in his head. Because I think in Shizen's head.
Okay.
But also I am going to go out on a limb.
Okay.
And wonder if a lot of the issues that I have with the way that his perspective is portrayed are translation issues.
I think
Because
there are translation issues. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, because
I agree.
it's okay. Because there's a lot of the scene where I'm like, because like I said, I sat with it and with the opening scene specifically, and I was like, if I read this in a webtoon, or if I was reading a comparable scene from a modern, or from like a romance novel, of which I read many, the breaking down the bare bones of the scene is usually something I really enjoy. It's just because of the way it's portrayed specifically from Shiz's point of view that I'm like, no. And so I think that it has to be, or it doesn't have to be, but I want to go on a limb and say that there are translation issues, because when you portray a scene like that, word choice is so crucial to the execution. Like all of your every
single
choice
word.
or every word you pick. And so, which I'm not saying that the translation is inaccurate. I'm just saying that, like, perhaps it is not the best localization, because there's also like a case where you're like translating and you translate too directly, and culturally it doesn't like come across the same. So
okay. Yeah,
but
I think that's a thing for all of these novels, like all of the series of Scum Villain, where I'm like, that for the intention and then the line afterward explaining the intention, that was not written that way. Like, I think that chapter
in the fan translation.
What?
It wasn't written that way in a fan translation?
I don't think so. Like, that's when I was rereading this, because for people that don't know, I originally read a fan translation because it was before the official translation came out. And a lot of the scenes, either my memory is super blurred or just hit different via the fan translation versus the official translation.
If my voice gets shaky, it is not because I am emotional, it's because I am suddenly very cold.
Sam's freezing.
I am starting to shiver. So,
for example,
I feel the fan
first
coming
chapter. My theory is that and it's kind of not a theory because it's basically said later, but that's an early example of Lu Binghe doing things to scare or push away Shen Shinshu, to prove to Shen Shinshu and himself that Shen Shinshu will always choose the Mountain Sect and everyone else over Lu Binghe, because that's the stuff that Jin Mo is whispering in his ear. And I think that's with like literally Lu Binghe says the line, I picked up this book and read that chapter and I was like, what the fuck is happening? I defended you so much, my boy, last time. But when he was like, Shizum, I was just trying to scare you. Don't take it so seriously. What's wrong? I'm like, one, don't take it so serious. What? But I was just trying to scare you. Like the fact that he freaks out. He's like, what the fuck? I think it's definitely a poorly translated, but definitely what the scene still happened. And just looking at what happened in the scene, I think it is a horrible thing that Lu Binghe did. But I do think that his intention, because I was trying to figure out, I wasn't focusing on the translating, what was Lu Binghe trying to get out of this? Because he wasn't trying to get sex out of it. And he wasn't like, because he said I wasn't serious, like I wasn't actually gonna do the sexual assault. Oh good, we're past 5 minutes into the video, we won't get taken down. I think he was trying to get that rise and like literally trying to make him scared to prove to himself or Jinmo was getting him to prove to himself that, oh, Shinshu doesn't care about you, kind of thing, which is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the translation of, there was more scenes where I'm like, this is really weirdly worded.
Yeah.
But
So I will say that as far as like in previous streams, I said I do not yet ship them.
Yeah.
As of the official translation, I would ship them only because I can be so biased toward one character that I don't particularly care about the other characters' needs. This way with Lu Binga, so that's fair. But I would not ship them per se because, like I said, it kind of like leans to Shizen is only with Lu Binga to save the world, and I'm like, that's not. But what are you doing? Do not attack that lamp. I have my light right here, and she looked right up at it like she was about to. Anyway, but with that said, I understand, especially because with a fan translation, fans kind of care a lot about the localization, I will say, which, as I said, whoever translated the official one, it's like with dubbing, it's when they are hired to translate it, we don't know how much freedom they were or weren't given. Sometimes publishing companies are like, you have to strictly translate it to the word, and that's really not the best for localization, especially with languages as different from each other as I'm unsure if it was Cantonese or Mandarin, but either way, the Chinese dialects and American dialects just night and day.
Very different, yeah.
Sometimes. And so like we don't know how tied the official translators' hands were, whereas fan translations they can just localize all they really want. So I can see how they are shippable, and just based on the amount of people I personally know whose taste I trust, I feel like if a lot of things were executed just a little differently in the narrative, I too would be on the ship. I also look forward to book 4 because I like these characters. And book 4, from my understanding, is just a bunch of like slice of life cutesy stories. So that's what my little romance ass is here for. Oh God, let me tell you, every time he got kidnapped, like him and Lu Bingha are with each other. Like it's Shizhen and Lu Bingha, and I'm like, and now their relationship will grow. And then right as they start communicating good again, Shizhen kidnapped, and I'm like, I don't have much more of this book left.
It's like, hey, what's the biggest problem, like the biggest hurdle in your relationship? Oh, okay, so there's this evil sword and I keep getting kidnapped, which does fit with the like genre that they're taking place in. Sorry about the sirens in the background. I live in a city. Because like Shizen is getting wife plotted like by being kidnapped so much. And then I don't know if he like lightly alludes to this, and then it's a big thing in the fan fiction, in the fandom, is how this world has the capacity for a wife plot to fit 600 or 300, hundreds of wives, and instead there is only one partner, one love interest for Lu Bingha, and so all of those wife plots narrow down onto one person, so he's just repeatedly getting wife plotted over and over and over again, and that being kidnapping, I think, is hilarious. So yeah.
I like how at some point after the system gives him all his bonuses, he's just like, what do you mean this is in women's fiction? He's like, is that why?
I like that it does like like airplane shooting towards the
That's
sky. I wrote this perfect stallion novel. If I knew it would turn me gay, and I'm like, that's not how it works. But okay.
I also like that sex seems to have been his awakening. So
okay, so I want to say
if
something.
I remember right, which you can correct me because my migraines have been weird, so I might be misremembering. But I don't think he called himself gay until after the sex scene, and I was like, baby boo, if that was your gay awakening, all right, go for it.
I think
Everyone has their kinks,
about them that I wrote down. They are so fucking like they're freak for freak. Like they even towards the points that Lu Binghe wasn't being influenced by Jin Mo, the very small area, they were so cute, and I was like, okay, this is the ship. This is what I love. We have read all of volume 3. And I've read
finished volume 3.
Actually,
this is the discussion for volume 3.
Yes. They might have.
You may be thinking of volume 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be reading.
But we got a recommendation for.
Oh yeah, 100%. Show chat
replay villainy and romance
in Scum Villain Self-saving System. Okay, cool. The gaming news we'll check out.
I can't copy paste, so
Rowan
I'm taking a screenshot.
Binghe had the worst sex in history of ever, and they're still together at the end of it, and I think that's beautiful. Yeah. Their sex was so bad, and that being his like gay awakening is so sad. But I do know that is explored in volume 4, and I won't say more than that.
Yeah.
But off the freak for freak thing, he is like wanting Binghe to like push more. He's like Binghe likes getting yelled at. He enjoys yelling at Binghe. Like they're just so weird. And I love them.
Hey, I'm all about the matching freak for freak. Yeah. I enjoyed Butcher and Blackbird, and it's a book about 2 serial killers who kill serial killers, and they're a couple. So, yes. Also, though, welcome, May. I don't know if you have been here before, but I do highly appreciate the recommendation because, yeah.
I like video essays.
It's an overall summary of the analysis. Ooh, I love those videos.
Like the fucking scene where like I don't even know what the context of this is, but Shen Xinshu finally managed to catch his breath. Lu Binghe kneel. Lu Binghe actually knelt with a sweep of his hem. Do you know why I told you to kneel? And then Lu Binghe kept his back ramrod straight and said, as a disciple, I have violated Shizun. Who's talking about that? This master will settle a debt with you later. And I'm like, you guys just made out, like making out again. Lu Binghe biting. The fact that he doesn't know how to kiss is so funny. Like that is so funny to me. And he's like kneel, and I think it's important, even despite the humor of that scene.
He's gray sexual, okay? He didn't want sex, but now he's had a taste. I don't know where on the gray spectrum he is, but I maintain that he is on it.
I think he's he likes powerful, pretty men, who are sometimes pathetic. Actually quite often pathetic. And I'm putting Lu Binghe and Lun Chinga in that same category together because I'm still, you know me. I went into it last stream. If you guys really want to see me have a slight breakdown, it's there. But I think like that scene is so important to show also the difference between Jinmo's influence and not, because we've had multiple instances where they're kissing and Chenshu's like, hey, stop! And Lu Binghe doesn't. And then you have this one where he doesn't have Jinmo's influence and he's like, kneel. And Lu Binghe's like, yep, okay, I'll stop. Like, it took one word. And I'm just like, yeah, that is like right there.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to hold your hand and you to beat him up with your fan and give him head pats.
Weird. Puppy.
But yeah, so I think that's like a big their relationship. Do I want a relationship like that? No. If I had one of my friends who had that relationship, I'd be like, you're matching
Like,
without the evil demon sword. Be like, have your own fun. I support you. Be
safe. If people only shipped or enjoyed the types of relationships that they themselves are in or want,
yeah,
it'd be very limited enjoyment of media, in my opinion. There are so many different kinds of ships that I love out there, and there are a lot of them that I'm like, would not work for me, but damn, do I love it for you. So, there was something. Oh, a few things about Shizun. One, just the trauma of being... Okay, so the illustrations in the book,
yeah.
I don't know why they chose to have an illustration for the beginning of him being turned into a human stick.
Yeah.
Because there is an illustration in the book where he has one arm and the other one is ripped and you can see the blood on the sleeve.
Yeah,
and I was like, what?
But also after that, he's like, I need to see Bingha right now. Like, show me my little white lotus. I'm like, oh, I'm glad to see you are no longer afraid of the real Bingha, because it sucks when one part of your ship's afraid of the other, because then you're like, this is not a good
I honestly, in a weird way, I think that cemented for him that he's dealing with two different versions of Bingha in reality. Yeah, I honestly think that weird punishment thing kind of, because like from, if I remember correctly, from that point on, I think he takes more notice of when Lu Bingha is possessed or like influenced.
He was feeling emotions.
Yeah.
I think so. I think also a theory I have that stems from that same scene, which is why I'm bringing it up now, is you know how Lu Bingha had like so many satisfaction points they no longer could keep happening after Shizun chose to hang out with Lu Bingha again after the whole temple and everything. And like the kidnapping and then the freeing and then Lu Chinga is there and like the bed scene, all that. And then the system made that 0. And the correlation of the system making that 0, and when Shizun's like, oh, that's when the Jinmo got his hooks back in Lu Bingha, I think that's really like fucked up. Because that's happened once before where the system's points have dropped. And I'm like, because that's a measure of how, it's not just the points. I think it's a measure of how happy Lu Bingha is, and dropping that like literally fractures some of Bingha's mind and makes it easier for Jinmo to influence him. And I was like, so the system is the villain.
The system is the villain.
Yeah.
No, the system is, and I really enjoyed this. The system is the personification and the like, fuck, what's the word I want? It is the representation of Airplane in the sky, desperately wanting to have written a boy love and being forced to write a male stallion for money. And I was like, he wanted to write him gay all along.
Yeah, because Airplane is gay. I thought he said it in this. I mean, he has his own extras, but like he didn't say I am gay, but he said I wanted to write gay. He also calls Moby Jun his ideal man, and I'm like, you're just gay. Like canonically, you know you're gay.
Hey, I like the fact that his ideal man was a secondary character.
I like the fact that his ideal man threw him into the big bad lair. Actually, I don't like that. When I read this for the first time, and then I went into the fandom, and one of the, like, rivaling, if not sometimes overtaking, Bingqiu is Bingqiu. Sorry, I've been saying it wrong. Is Airplane and Mo Xiang, Mo Xiang. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, where is this coming from? Like, I know, like, I didn't really like Airplane. And then the fact that, like, Mo Xiang yeets him into danger. And then I guess there is the one moment, which is really cool. And, like, in retrospect of, like, slightly more understanding their relationship from reading some of volume 4, like, Airplane saving Mo Xiang, but, like, I was still like, what the fuck? Where is this? Why is there so much support for, like, the rat hamster author and the ice dude that consistently fucks things up for our main couple? I'm glad this stream is small because I feel like I would have some portion of the fandom be coming from my throat for saying that.
I love Mo Xiang.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
He's great.
He
was there so little. He captured my heart.
I want to see inside his mind. So I know that happens in volume 4. There's a lot of Airplane. Like, the Airplane extras are a, like, chunk of that book. Rowan says Binghe and Chinchu both have PTSD at times called by each other is something I really like to think about.
I enjoy it.
They're not. Yeah, they need therapy. Speaking of therapy needed, would you like to talk about our lovely, beloved sect leader, Yu Qingyan? What is your opinion on him? And I guess Shenju's backstory along with that.
It's one of those things where I'm like, why didn't you just tell him? I don't care about your shame.
I think
I like that the backstory wasn't explained as like, oh, well, we're trying to humanize the bad guy, but quite the opposite, where Airplane was like, no, I wanted to humanize the bad guy, like, because he wasn't gonna be a bad guy in the first place. He was one of the main characters. But then, like, I needed money, and I'm like, as a poor woman, I understand.
I think you're saying Airplane was a poor woman at first, and I was like, I don't get that metaphor.
No, I am a poor woman.
Yes, I know.
He is a poor man. As poor authors, I understand. Yeah. So
I think
with the context that he was supposed to be a main character that just had a really sad, shitty past, I'm like, oh, I'm more on board with that than here's our cartoonishly evil villain with a shitty past. I'm like, oh, okay. So I also, let me tell you, I know you don't like Airplane, but
I don't dislike Airplane. Don't spread that narrative. I like Airplane. I think he's hilarious. I just didn't like him the first time I read it.
Okay. In my defense, you did say I didn't like Airplane, but I did not hear the first time you read it.
Okay. I'm going to put a little asterisk there, and I still think he's super fucked up as a character because he still planned the Immortal Alliance conference and killed a bunch of children and just didn't give a fuck. Because he sees all of the characters in this world as characters and not as people, which is a different from Shen Shinshu grows to see them as people, but Airplane just doesn't. So you can continue.
My whole thing was that I relate to Airplane so much. Probably the character I related to the most in the novel. And you know what? Him killing a bunch of children so that he wouldn't die when he views them as fictional, I can't say that I would blame him because I have said it so many times that Fox photoshopped an image. But when I think of me and my writing, I'm a god, so I understand him.
Yeah. I think
also pretty sure in the original novel, Lu Binghe also murdered children, but it's fine.
Yeah, probably. Original Lu Binghe is not a good person. Current Lu Binghe is on a thin fucking line, but has evil demon sword, and I love him. Not the demon sword, the boy.
Also, I'm not saying Airplane's a good person.
Yeah.
Just that I relate to him.
Very entertaining. I think that with Shenju, I was going to click on that in a second. I want to finish my thought first before.
Okay. Go ahead.
With Shenju and Chiga, I think that there's a lot of within the fandom, a lot of Shenju apologists and be like, he did nothing wrong. He's baby boy. I think he's an incredibly interesting character, and I wish we had more of him. But he's not a good person. Like, I would love to see a character arc and like fanfiction when there's a character arc, but he did still abuse baby like Lu Binghe.
He also murdered a town of men. I mean, he left the women alive.
Yeah, he murdered
all the men.
Yeah, who were probably also not in great positions, just like he wasn't. Even if they weren't the main victim, who knows? I have less feelings about that than I have about him abusing our protagonist.
I mean, that's fair. I just want it out there that abusing the protag is not the only bad thing he has done.
And he did other things, which he has a whole section in Volume 4, I know that. But I think the tragedy of him and Chiga is so heartrending, like, because there isn't a resolution. Like, at the end of the book, even Shen Yuan, like Shizen, is like, I for once wish I was Shenju so that I could like be hearing this like resolution, but I'm like, that's just the end. Maybe there's something I don't know in Volume 4, but as far as I know, that's just like shit. That just doesn't. He continues thinking that Chiga didn't come back for him, and that's how he died. And his entire life was plagued by that and super fucked up. And Chiga never gets to respond or like apologize to the actual person, even though he finally gathered up his courage and tried. That soul is no longer in the body, and so he will never be able to help like do that. And I'm just like, well, okay. Just inherent tragedy in our otherwise supposedly happy ending.
If only Chiga had just told
done it earlier. Yeah. Yeah. I think he should have done it earlier, but he didn't. So, so that was. I have a whole list of things, so I'm crossing them off as we go to make sure we talk about everything that I wanted to talk about, because I haven't been doing that.
I would like to be clear. My criticism of any of the characters' actions is not a criticism of the story. Characters are allowed to do dumb things.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can we address chat?
Or... Yes. All right. So May goes. I'm guessing the writing for Shizen being so roundabout with his feelings because of China's censorship. Take my thought with a grain of salt, though I'm not from China. I don't think.
So hold on. I addressed this in previous streams, actually, that my issue with his feelings was not something that China's censorship would be applicable for, because it wasn't that he had no feelings, it was that he was repulsed at like every turn. Until this book where he wasn't, until his weird gay awakening. But and I've read other things from China, and I've watched some Chinese media, and they do have some boy loves, and their censorship laws are weird because they allow their actors to act in queer media, but then their actors are not allowed to hang out outside of the job because they're like, no, they can't actually be
I think
so
So I'm not an expert on Chinese censorship laws, but it is more lax for writing, like, than it is for on media.
All laws everywhere are more lax with books. It is something that I am greatly annoyed by in general. Not because I believe in censorship, just because I'm like, people get away with a lot more in books than they would if it was another form of media, and not all of that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah. With this in particular, I think that just comparing to other MXTX works where it's like Wei Wuxian is, once he realizes, is very explicitly not straight. Actually, he's not straight even before he realizes that. Anyways, love that book also. And even like Sun Lang is like it. I don't think it's an issue with censorship laws. I think some of it is time period, and like the trope, the trope in a lot of boy love stuff where it's like, I'm straight, but I got turned gay by my love interest. I think some of it is a poor translation. And then I think a lot of it is the obtuseness of Shen Xinshu, or Shen Yuan. And I think it's just like there's a thought formulating in my brain and I'm struggling to process it. It's almost, I wonder if it's a commentary. I bet like MXTX has written about this somewhere, but like part of me wonders if there's supposed to be like a message behind it, because so much of this series has like is doing a parody and there's messages about the genres it's parodying. Well, I'm wondering if there's some sort of parody or message that we're missing here about the straightness, or maybe that's just my hope, or the straightness, or maybe I'm just hoping that and it's not there. But we can draw our own conclusions. Rowan goes, if the characters were better at communicating, we wouldn't have a book, which is very fair. That's what fanfic.
How dare you? Just because you are right, Rowan, doesn't mean I have to like them. Look, my only issue is that he could have just told him sooner. It wouldn't have changed much, I don't think.
Well, the original Shen Xinshu had a chi deviation that killed him, and that's why Shen Yuan popped in. And his chi deviation was caused by heart demons, by being depressed and having unresolved trauma. Which might be a thing in the extras if it's not explained already. But so I think there would be less of a book because our boy wouldn't be able to transmigrate it. But yeah,
I will say what I think is just that MXTX has probably read a lot of boy loves and just read a lot of boy loves where like one of the main characters has presumably assumed themselves straight, and because of the Chinese censorship, that is like a ton of like that's all over in the Chinese boy love media. And so I just think that MXTX just wrote what they know. I like, it is a fact that in China they do not have access to a lot of queer educational things. And like I said, I think the first stream that we did Scum Villain, the like talk of that being a problematic boy love trend is a conversation that was had, and that was back when Japan first started releasing like boy love in mangas and media. And now it's one of those things where we see throughout history with media, all like different countries and stuff kind of go at their own pace for, I'm gonna say, how like oh my god, I can't think of any
Tolerant
words.
representation.
No, I would say like different levels of growth for their representation and the way in which they portray it. And a lot of things go in patterns. It's actually kind of fascinating when you look at like media trends for one country versus like another country. A good thing to look up to understand it is like with Japan, was it called the super flat theory, babe? Yeah, the super flat theory with Japan's media and how Japan's media is like growth and stuff in a way like it went to a certain point and then after the bombing of Hiroshima it like regressed and then went back. So like a lot of their portrayals and stuff are considered to be like a bit behind the growth of American media is the only one I know for sure certain. Yeah. So like that's why a lot of times when people try to judge like manga and stuff, then a lot of people will be like, oh well there's just like a cultural difference and stuff, and it's like that's a slippery slope. So it's I had a thought, it's coming back to me. So yeah, I think that it's just kind of like, because before with the censorship, queer media was just pure, if I remember correctly, it used to just purely be outlawed, and the laws have become more like lax in allowing it to be there now. So I think it's just like one of those, what's the word I'm looking for? Like growing bumps, but that's not the phrase
growing
for it.
Pains?
Thank you. So I think that this is just an unfortunate growing pain, which, again, I want to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying Scum Villain or shipping them. And I know that a lot of American queer youth and stuff. But I'm getting there. Let me finish. Yeah, a lot of young American queers can even kind of see themselves in Shizen because of religious trauma or just like having to suppress themselves. I don't think that's what the author's intention was for Shizen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's important to like talk about and to touch on these things when we engage in our media. Media literacy. It helps us so we are very influenced by the media we take in. Like if we take in enough of a certain kind of media, it starts to affect our subconscious even if we don't mean it to. So in order to enjoy media that contains problematic things, it is important to use media literacy and to discuss the negative things in it so you can fight it from taking root. Like you fight it normalizing itself in your mind, really.
Rowan shares, fun fact about Chinese BL actors not hanging outside the show. I believe this is directly related to a controversy surrounding the Mo Zushi fan fiction about the actors playing Wang Xian. I think so too. That was a big issue. I think they are starting to like spend time around each other again, the actors. But yeah, I don't love RPF. Real person fiction.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And I also think the law is to a point where it affects the real people. Like career-wise and like friendship-wise. And it's a thing that happens multiple times, like not just in countries that aren't as tolerant. I think it also happened with the show Once Upon a Time. The actor between Emma Swan and Regina Mills, like their friendship dissolved because people were like being intense about shipping them, like the actors, not the characters. That's just something I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's
oh my
be
gosh,
careful with your shipping of real people.
I would not ship real people unless they're like, we are a couple. And then that's the only and then I don't even know if it's shipping or you're just kind of being supportive.
I support your relationship.
Like shipping real people, like, like One Direction,
Slippery slope.
which, for clarity, I am not a fan of One Direction, but with One Direction, two of the guys were shipped together.
Yes.
And one of them got a girlfriend.
And Harry Styles.
Yeah, and one of them got a girlfriend, and people harassed the girlfriend because she was threatening their ship.
And people do that with straight actors as well, like straight ships, where they'll.
I was about to say, as far as I was aware, One Direction was straight, but I see what you
Not One Direction. I think it happened with the Bridgerton cast, among others. But yeah, where people would be like, "Hey, my two actors that I ship together because I ship their characters. One of them has a partner. How dare?" But yeah. Anywho, back to our fake gay relationships. Fictional. There we go.
Fictional. I was about to say this is fake just because it's fictional.
No.
They're together.
Speaking of ships, my rare pairs or crack ships that I'm not original in thinking this up because I know they exist in the fandom.
Doesn't matter. Who are your crack ships?
So they all surround Tylan Jun, Bingha's dad.
He needs to be happy. I don't care what anybody says. Look, he is a villain who wants to destroy the world just because of, like, he loved his girlfriend. You know I'm a sucker for that.
He loved his girlfriend and he was told that she did not love him back. And tried to abort their baby. But so my crack ships for them, which I know I've scrolled past fan fiction of them, but just because the fan fiction sounded poorly written, not because I didn't want to read it. Ignore the plane? Helicopter?
Who do you ship, woman?
I ship Tylan Jun, not Mobi well, and Lu Chinga. Just because when Lu Chinga shows up to the camp and is like cutting through everything, Tylan Jun's like, wow, impressive, like sword work, very nice. And I'm like,
I was a little worried when that scene happened. I was like, hold on now. That's his future daddy-in-law.
My boy Chinga should just be happy and should have someone to love him because he doesn't get to be part of Bing Q. But because that's wrong, he should be part of them. Anyways, and the other one where it's sad, it's not even old man, like sad old gay old man, but it's kind of sad gay, slightly older men. They give sad gay old man energy, and it's Chiga and Bingha's dad. So it's the sect leader and Bingha's dad. Because both of their partners that they loved and had poor communication with died. And there's like a misunderstanding there. And I think they should be together. Because they're sad.
Okay.
Thanks.
Look,
no thoughts other than okay?
I mean, there's that scene where Tien is all like, you were there at the time.
They were evenly matched as well, like power-wise. Also, another one that I just came up with, not actually, but is Tylan Jun and then Wu Chen, the monk dude that's chill and has the prosthetic legs, that at every single point was like, hey, why don't we actually give Binghe a chance? And is like the only non from the mountain sect person that has rights in my mind. Or the demons, some of them are chill. But like the only from the cultivation sect that is chill is the monk Wu Chen. Also kind of got the vibe that the other monk that they were like they were together because he was like, hey, my sect leader Wu Wang has been particularly hating demons since I lost my legs, and they're like always, I don't know, I got a little something there, but Telling Jen should be with one of these three people.
Fair enough.
Or maybe no, she's a lesbian. I was gonna say maybe even Chingen, the one female Peak Lord we have named, because she would step on him and he would like it, but I think she's just a lesbian.
Could be.
I don't know if that... She's widely regarded as a lesbian within the fandom, but I don't know if that has any merit anywhere. But she's a mean lady, so she's his type.
I am not a lesbian, and I'm not going to pretend to have like a super strong sexuality dar in any direction. But I would say that fandom probably says she's a lesbian because she is in charge of an all-woman sect.
Yeah, Peak. Yeah.
Are these not the same?
They're not. The Peaks are within the sect.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you.
Speaking of gaydar, Shen Shinshu has a terrible gaydar. One, he thought Lu Binghe was straight. And two, he thinks, supposedly the author said that Lu Qingge is straight, but that's wrong. So my evidence that that is just... Well, first of all, I have...
Are you having problems reading your notes?
No, I have ... I - straight man behavior. When Tianlin Jun said he's not as handsome as I am, and Shen Xin goes, "Who said you were more handsome than him? Who gave you the license?" Great Master Airplane shooting towards the sky personally confirmed that Lu Binghe is unparalleled throughout the ages, across 3 realms and the heavens and earth, envied by men and admired by women, beloved by the young and old alike. That he is the novel's #1 hot cake who could shock all of existence and make gods and ghosts alike sob over his beauty. Okay?
I am of two minds here.
Yeah.
I am like, yes, this could be a hint that he is gay. Also, he is a fanatic who cares about facts. Finding out that he is a Virgo, I'm just like, yeah, this sounds like Virgo behavior to me. It doesn't sound like it has anything to do with sexuality.
Okay, so the thing I actually tried to bring up was... My note here says, "Babes, you have a terrible gaydar. You also thought that Lu Binghe was super straight." And this is the passage. Yeah, right. Like, he'd share a room with Lu Binghe. Also, respect going to them not having Shen Shinshu share a, like, not doing the trope of there was only one room. I respect that. I thought it was a hilarious scene how they, like, how he's like, "And you guys share a room."
Yeah.
Yes, like he'd share a room with Lu Binghe. A straight man and a gay one staying in the same room. That was just asking for death. Yes, Shen Shinshu...
In his defense, with that statement is homophobic. His experience with Lu Binghe at that point, though, I feel his anger is...
or his, like, transition to not being a dick.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just...
or right after. He's in the prep.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
What I was going to say is I feel like he is right in not wanting to share a room with Lu Binghe, but he is focusing on the wrong facts for why he's right.
Yes.
I was like, let me finish
lack
my
of boundaries
statement
versus the fact that he is gay. Yes, Shen Shinshu insisted he was still straight. His willingness to read the Stallion novel like Proud Immortal Demon Way was rock solid proof, which Airplane wrote it and Airplane's gay. So, nor did he want to share a room with Lu Qingge. I would want to share. Anyways, though Great Master Liu was the Mountain Six, I still can't say it, guys. I could at one point for like 10 minutes, but I can't again. #1, straight man across all space and time. So straight it was evident to all the heavens and earth. His straightness was as certain as the fact that the light of the sun and the moon. What? I don't understand why he's so certain that Lu Qingge is straight.
Okay, so here's my thing with that is I feel like at that point in the story, he's just really desperate to hold on to the original novel that he really loved. Even though he had a lot of problems with it, he really loved it. You know what? Here's a really good example of what is happening to him in this moment. He has watched Sailor Moon his whole life. And he really loves it. And then Sailor Moon Crystal comes out, which is more faithful to the original outline, the manga.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not the same story by any stretch of the imagination. And he is desperately trying to hold on to the fact that he is in this adaptation, not this one. And his world is crumbling. And after he goes through a few stuff later, he just sort of accepts that he is in Crystal. Now, I must also apologize for comparing Sailor Moon Crystal to the original Scum Villain. It does not deserve that, but I did not have a better example.
And one to project on too. Yeah, no, that's.
Hey, I knew that you would understand my example because you knew my feelings.
One of my most important notes that I should have shown earlier is it's on this page, and it just says hot.
It's fair. It's a fair note.
Because he's so cunty. Like, I love him. He's the villain of this book. But God, I love him. Every line from his mouth, I'm like, yeah, another banger. So good. You read porn about your son in your free time. Go off, King.
You're not wrong.
You enjoy porn. You want your nephew and your son's, in your mind, boyfriend, and maybe even your son to fuck and for you to watch. Name a more iconic character.
I cannot get behind the watching.
No, the watching is super weird. And the fact that Lu Binghe and Zhizhi Long are cousins. But
oh God, they are.
They are. He's a fucking freak, and I love him so much. He's
there are red flags, and then there are lines. Draw the line at incest.
I know that, but it's funny, and the fact the narrative treats it as weird as it is. And he doesn't that was. Hey, I want all three of you. He goes, all three of you. Okay.
That was a weird, proud dad moment, but like as if he was proud of Shizen.
Yeah.
Like not Lu Binghe. He's like, you bagged my son and my nephew?
Yeah, and it's definitely him imagining that he's bagging the son and the nephew. The son and the nephew, nothing's happening there. It's both.
Yeah.
He's just like, yes, Shen Shu, you should collect a harem. And I agree.
You should be the stallion in this novel.
Yeah. That's, I mean, he basically has a harem. Anyways. Speaking of sex.
Oh,
I'm great at these transitions.
Hold on real quick. Because I constantly feel as if I should clarify certain things. Earlier when you were like saying that those were examples of how his gaydar are off.
Yes.
I'm not saying he has a good gaydar. No, his gaydar, I don't think he's ever realized he's met a gay person in his life.
No.
But I was
great.
Yeah, but I was just I spoke up to he's in mass denial because you were like, I don't understand why he's doing this. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. That's just the climax of his character arc of denial about to be shattered.
Yeah, I think him listening to like, Chiga and then being like, damn, the parallels. I gotta go talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
Before Binghe dies. Or I die, and nothing can be resolved. Okay, so speaking of sex, not feelings. theory, my proposition.
Yes.
No, not Siri. My phone just activated and I don't want it to record what I'm about to say. The internet can have this, but not my phone.
Your Siri is a lesbian and she just heard proposition?
Lu Binghe has never masturbated. And this is why. So I'm going to do my main piece of evidence is, well, we had the mandatory MXTX coffin boner scene. And yes, it is mandatory. It happens. I've read so many coffin boner scenes across my denme, and I can't remember Moda Zushi's right now. I need Rowan to say it or someone else in the chat to say it, but Heaven's Official Blessing has an iconic one, and so does this. Sadly, not both people are conscious like they're in Heaven's Official, which makes it even funnier. But it's my supporting evidence of Lu Binghe has never masturbated is he had okay. Other than hearing someone crying, I also had a strange feeling. Blah, blah, blah. What sort of feeling? I can't say. Did it hurt? It didn't hurt. It was very... Before he could finish, a confused expression crossed his face, and he looked down his lower body. Shen Shu was silent. Hello, Heavenly Pillar. Goodbye, Heavenly Pillar. Why is he confused? Like, translation, all that, but not like a... I know it could mean, why was I feeling someone rub my dick? But I'm taking it as, I don't know what it feels like if my dick is being rubbed.
I mean, if, as I believe, he is Grace, that makes sense.
No, it's Lu Binghe saying this.
Oh.
And then my second, my supporting supporting evidence is the fact that Lu Binghe he lived in a woodshed till he was 14, from 12 to 14. And then from 14 on, lived in the other room of his crush / an immortal cultivation master who has advanced senses, including advanced hearing. So he's probably not doing anything in the house. So he's going into the woods and doing it, or going on night hunts, but he's not gone that long. And he wants to rush back to his shizun. So he's either... So I would say, like, oh, he's doing it in the woods, but he doesn't know what he was feeling. So I mean, he's never done it before.
That's possible. I know there's this idea that everybody masturbates, but actually not everybody does.
Yeah.
And, like, some people actually can't. So I would believe that he never has before.
And I think that is... ironic? I don't know. That is an
I think it's ironic given he was supposed to be very sexually...
God, that's along the same line that he's a horrible kisser.
And that would actually then make a lot of sense as, like, because there's a lot of, like, 180 or, like, black and white contrasting points between Stallion Binghe and
our Binghe.
Crystal
Binghe.
I'm calling him Crystal now.
They're referred to as Binghe, as in, like, the other universe Binghe, and then Bing Mei is our Binghe.
Binghe. I got that. That works for me.
Okay. Yeah, so I just thought that was hilarious. Along that's a similar line to that, in the very beginning, I think this is a translation thing, but I couldn't tell if it was a joke or not.
Okay.
Like, what exactly is going on? There's the line, okay. And that wasn't even the end of it. For the first 2 days, Shen Shu had neither the mood nor appetite, but on the third day, he lost interest in I actually never heard this said out loud. India, and the thing that makes him not have to eat or sleep.
Oh, okay.
And gave a few reserved instructions to, i.e., flirted with, the pretty pale and busty demon maid, calling for a meal to be delivered. So that leads me to either two conclusions. Does he think a few reserved instructions counts as flirting? Or did he actually flirt? No, it says, i.e. flirted with, gave a few reserved instructions, i.e. and flirted with. And I'm like, just because you talk to a woman does not mean you were flirting with her. You were literally just interacting.
Perhaps I'm gonna assume that's a translation thing, but
yeah.
pretending it's not a translation thing, let us thought experience. Perhaps he thinks that since he had only given reserved instructions to Lu Binga, he now knows Lu Binga is interested in him. So he's just like, oh, so this is just flirting.
If I talk to people, they'll fall in love with me, which sadly is true for a large portion of the characters.
Because he's a main character, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
He's just finally figuring out his role in the universe.
Yeah. The wife beam, so called.
That or I would say, like, without tone, it's hard to tell, but that or I think he might have just been being sarcastic.
Yeah. So a thing that I wrote down, this has literally made me like go holy shit out loud. My note here that you won't be able to see says, that's canon? Because I like the stylistic writing of this book. And so within it, his current attire and appearance was exactly identical to Lu Binghe from the Immortal Alliance conference. And then a semicolon, and then crossed out is the model of a flawless, pure disciple of a major sect. Normal. The image of a pretty diligent and competent young wife. So in fanfiction, Shen Xinshu will like remark every time like Binghe like cooks, there'll always be like, oh, he usually does this for his wife, or oh, he does the cooking and cleaning and housework, and like we'll call him like he's acting like a wife or something like that. Which like traditional gender roles, blah blah blah. But I didn't realize that the actual Shizun Shen Yuan Shen Xinshu just like, oh no, he looks like a pretty diligent and competent young wife right now. And I'm like, and then crosses it out. So he like thinks that thought, and he's like, no, I can't think that thought. And then it just comes to the uncrossed out is it really ... really ... was ... And I'm like, you couldn't think of anything else to be like, it was nice seeing him looking like his pre-blackening arc self. I'm just like, no, you thought about him being your wife and your brain just blue screened. And I respect that.
Like, yeah, after he sort of accepts him as his romantic partner, he's just obsessed with the idea that Lu Binghe is now a young maiden.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this sexism is how you're having to deal with your internalized homophobia, I don't appreciate it, but do what you need to do. It's in your head.
There's the thing that people say, just like, oh, which one of you is the wife? And then with lesbians, which one of you is the husband? And then typically in queer kind of stuff, it has like with two men, it's the bottom or the more feminine or delicate one is the wife.
All of these things are stereotypes that at least my generation has been fighting against.
And then seeing the opposite of that, where Shen Xinshu's like, wow, you could be my wife. And I'm like, he's like, because he's like, oh, Lu Binghe is peerless. He's the coolest. Like, no one can ever be as awesome as him.
He's like, I have the most macho man in existence as my dainty wife.
And he's my wife. And I'm like, this is so funny. Because if, like, I feel like if anyone asked, like, Lu Binghe, like, who is the wife, he would say, and, like, they both agree, like, who is the wife, which is, again, an awful thing, but it's Lu Binghe. Like, by that, I think it's funny that they both would agree on that.
Yes, I do think it is interesting that while using this this very gender rolled assigning,
Yeah.
they both do not actually conform to these gender roles.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Because it's like Lu Yinghe is the, you know, the nurturing, emotional, caring
Crybaby.
crybaby wife. Also the masculine macho
does all the
warrior.
rescuing.
Yeah, does all the Shizin, the husband, is so small and dainty.
Not actually, he's like 4 centimeters
kidnapped.
shorter.
In the sketches,
In the sketches, they make him a lot smaller, but I'm like, he's not that much shorter.
I have aphantasia. If I don't have the exact measurements, I'm going with the sketches. And on that cover, which is at an angle and therefore the perspective is thrown completely off, but he's at his shoulder.
There's a picture near the end that shows them next to each other, but yeah, no, they're definitely. He's. Yeah. I mean, this obviously they're again at a fucking angle. Just let us see them standing next to each other, please.
Okay, but muscular type.
Yes. Well,
he is the.
Sorry, it says he's like slender and like all of the art and the fan fiction and every fan art has Binghe be beefy and stuff, but within the narrative, it's like he's slender and lithe, and I'm like, no, he's not. Let him have his muscles. Let him be muscle man. Because it's like, wow, he's really narrow fitting in this coffin, and I'm like, what? Like, despite all his time in the abyss, he actually has a very nice physique, and I'm like, one, we are really focusing on this. Two, I want him to be beefy.
Okay, so
he deserves to be beefy.
For reference, I didn't say he was beefy. I just said that comparatively, Shizin is leaner. So.
Oh wait, we do have one picture, the front of the book, and Lu Binghe is a little bit taller. The hair crown.
He's broader though. He's broader.
Yes.
His shoulders are very clearly higher and out, which means that comparatively Shizin is daintier. Anyway, to finish my point, he is the daintier of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And is constantly captured and in need of rescue, and specifically captured by villainous men who may or may not also be attracted to him.
Which probably are also attracted to him.
Yeah, but he's the husband, so it's one of those things where it's like, it's very interesting because it kind of shows that, like, the author themselves does not seem to conform to the gender roles and is like using that in their writing while also still using certain stereotypes. So
yeah, I feel like in this sense it is a, like, that's where the satire, the commentary does come out in that. Yeah. That is a aspect of it. Small word, just say rip the mushroom body. You were cool while you lasted. Never to be. Also, the fact that Binghe tried to preserve the mushroom body and failed because it literally like melted before his eye. That's so traumatic. Poor guy. Yet again being abandoned inadvertently by Shizin after he fucked up real bad.
Being kidnapped isn't abandoning.
I know, but he doesn't see it like that because he's an evil.
No, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling into the void.
Just making sure you weren't yelling at my boy. No, it's fine. I would yell at him if I was his friend. I'd be like, "What are you doing? Please don't stab me with your evil sword." And then I go, "What are you doing?" I liked seeing the whole mountain sect as family. I know Binghe got like jealous and possessive about it, but I was like, this is such a cute scene. And I want Binghe to be part of the family too. Like Ning Ying Ying cared about him before he everything went bad. And I'm like, I wish Binghe had friends. I feel like it'd be really good for him to have friends. Yeah, that's actually the end of my thought. That was it. He needs friends. So he's less weird about Shen Shinshu having friends. And then I know I said earlier that
in his defense a little bit, Shizun is just like nicer to other people.
Yeah, he doesn't have the same preconceived negative notions about other people. Like he has
but like
notions, but they're
Lu
not.
Binghe doesn't know that.
I'll have for Binghe. And
Like
he was nice to Binghe, and then all of a sudden he wasn't, and Binghe doesn't. The only thing Binghe has is you found out I was half demon, but you said demons were fine, so it must just be me. Yeah, so that's suitably fucked him up.
I'm just saying, I can understand Binghe's perspective there.
Mm-hmm. And then I made the joke earlier that like Tylin Jun is the villain of this, but I think actually the overall villain of the story and the world is Airplane. No, not actually. I'm joking. Is the old palace master, because fuck him, that pervy, molesting, absolute creep. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you want to know the true villain of the story?
Who?
Miscommunication and assumptions.
Yeah. Or the demon sword.
I guess.
They would probably communicate more if it weren't for the demon sword. If like Binghe got out of the abyss because Mobi-Jan was like, I don't know, going hunting to find something cool to show to Airplane and came across Binghe and was like, wait, you belong to the same sect as the guy I'm lightly obsessed with. That's my servant, but I beat him up, but that's also flirting and I love him, but he's, I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna kidnap you.
I can't hold
and take you to Airplane. And Airplane's like, oh shit, you needed your like golden finger, your Jinmo, but now you're here. I want that fan fiction. Actually, I'm going to go look for it. Where Jinmo just doesn't happen because I fucking hate that sword. But it's fine.
The sword was just doing what it was supposed to do.
Being evil.
Hashtag. Oh, fuck. What was I gonna say? Hashtag the sword is innocent.
Is it though? It is. I feel like it fits in the same classification as you know, in Vox Machina or like Critical Role Campaign 1, Grog's evil sword that they take from Silas Briarwood.
I love that evil sword.
Well, I don't. I don't like evil swords. CB against evil swords. This just here, folks. I don't support evil swords' existence within my narratives. Actually, I think they're really cool as a plot device because I love swords. Yeah, Rowan says if Jinmo has no haters, then I'm dead. Exactly. Then we're both dead.
I mean, that's why CB is a hater.
I am. So we won't be able to tell.
Oh, I was gonna say hashtag justice for Zenmo.
No justice for the evil sword. I love a lot of fandom like creates headcanons and like histories for the sword or stuff like that. And I think that's really cool. Fuck that sword. Another thing with swords, there's like a fan theory that Shenju and Shenyuan are like the same soul. Just through different circumstances. And one of the like classifications for that is because Zhuya, I'm probably pronouncing everything wrong. If anyone new here is like, wow, you guys don't know how to pronounce any of these things, you are correct. We are doing our best though, and if you know how to pronounce it and you would like to correct us nicely in chat, go ahead.
I also like to remind people that even if I know how to pronounce things correctly, I'm chronically Southern, so that doesn't mean my mouth will function correctly.
I don't have that reason. I just, yeah. So Zhuya, Shinshinshu's sword is bound to a soul. That's how soul swords work.
Yes.
And it works for Shen Yuan. And he like literally when he gets it back in the beginning of this book, blah, blah. Zhuya. Shen Shinshu retained an emotional attachment to Zhuya, and as soon as he grasped his former sword in hand, he had no more attention to devote to beating up Sheng Qinghe. Drawing the blade from the sheath, it was pure white and snow bright as it has ever been, slender and elegant. Blah blah blah. It's back again. But yeah, so he's just like happy about it. And when he touches it for the first time, he was like in book 1, I think. He was like worried about it. He was worried about it not reacting properly to him. That was my light. Oh no, but it did. It just like felt like, hey, who are you? I think that's what it was, at least. I don't know. That was like a month ago or 2. So yeah, that's a fun fan theory. Yeah, and Shen Shinshu says the thing about like, who knows where Shenju's sword went? Maybe it like went to a different world. Maybe it's just gone now. So people would do like the Shen like lived as Shen Shinshu, went and lived as Shen Yuan, and then returned as Shen Shinshu again. So yeah, that's the end of my notes. So anything else? Anything you would like to bring up that I did not?
No.
Cool.
You were very thorough in your discussion points, and I feel like I already said all the things I wanted either before we started just going down your list or during.
We were going down my list the entire time. I just didn't tell you.
Sorry, speaking of the coffin boner scene, I actually thought that scene was extremely well written and pretty hilarious. It especially helped that Lu Binghe was like passed out for most of it, at least if we're thinking of the same scene.
Yes, there was only one coffin. He was passed out for all of it, but apparently he retained a very slight awareness of his body, but he had no control over everything. Yeah, I think at that point, if he had any awareness, it would be like not as... Usually, I'm not advocating for intimate things happening when one party is unconscious, but it was not purposely intimate. It was...
I was about to say, it's one of those things where it's like, it's okay. It's like 100% okay to just find it funny because all they're trying to do is survive. Nobody's trying to do anything else.
And he's like, oh, let me move that sword hilt. That's not a sword. And I just think that's funny. And the fact he kept like having to move Binghe like closer, like move his legs out of the way, and then Binghe's like between his legs, and like tucking Binghe's like head into his shoulder because the arm of the like corpse kept like reaching in. And then afterwards being yoinked out by Meng Mo, and Meng Mo's like, have sex or he needs to kill you. Please. It's the vibes of that one Danny Moda like snippet that went viral on TikTok, which is actually from his reaction to the Heaven Official's blessing, where it's like, I cannot handle one more season of you two verbally edging each other.
I love Danny Moda.
Yeah,
I have held back watching his Heaven's Official blessing though, because I know we're gonna read the books eventually.
We are?
I thought we were. Thought you wanted to do all of MXTX.
I haven't finished the books. I'm on book 6 or 7 of 8. I really should just finish it.
I'm gonna wait until you decide.
I mean, we probably are like the first 2 books because... Or we'll do it over the course of like a year because that is 8 books.
You say that like this a lot.
It is a lot, Sam. To constantly do that, so I want to bring other books in.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We're doing other stuff first, but then we will probably definitely do Grandmaster.
For clarity, an 8 book series to do in a row for our book talk
Yes.
would be a lot, because
Yeah.
that's about 8 months.
Yes.
But my brain just went to an 8-book series. It's really not that bad.
No, but it's also like this book where it's one story chopped up into 8 parts.
I mean, if that's the case, we could also just try to do multiple parts.
Yeah, do like 4 parts and read 2 books for each.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Because, like, eventually when we do manga and stuff, depending on the length of the manga, there's no reason not to just read the full thing and then talk about it.
Yeah. No, after we do a couple other things for mine, then we will be doing Grandmaster. I wrote a paper on Grandmaster and the different adaptations, and I briefly touch on, if May is still here, I touch on censorship there. And I would love to read over my essay that I wrote and be like, hey, are these still good points? That'd
be great.
So
we also in the future, when we read novels that have been translated from a language that's not English, we will put a disclaimer that we will consider the official translation may not be the best.
Yeah. Sadly. So. MXT or Grandmaster probably is a better translation than Scum Villain, because Scum Villain's the neglected child.
Or it's the neglected child because of horrible translation.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's not horrible, but just...
It's not horrible, but it's frustrating. There is a someone wrote a fan fiction of Scum Villain from Bingha's perspective. And I'm like, I feel like that's too angsty. I would just be depressed the whole time, being like, oh, you poor kid. You're just sad.
I love how you're like, that's too angsty. And I'm like, oh, God, that sounds so interesting.
Right. If I find it again, I'll send it your way. Hopefully it has a podfic. Yeah, so that's the end of our Scum Villain Volume 3 Let's Talk.
So, for next...
We already did that one.
What is going on here?
It was such a smooth transition. There we go.
No, that's not it either. Hold up.
Well, that's not it either.
No, I know. I went back to that one so that I can...
We'll eventually get there. So last month we read Not the Witch You Wed, and if you guys want, you should go watch that one. So
which
that you
was
know
book 1 in the Supernatural Singles
series.
Yes.
Not Siri. It didn't light up that time.
Here we go.
Yay!
I assume that book 2 in the lineup accidentally got deleted instead of book 1, and we just didn't think about it. So yes, on the 22nd, which is in 2 weeks, we will talk about Not Your Ex's Hexes.
Potentially on the 22nd.
Subscribe to our channel so we can update you if that it won't work for my... I sent you the dates in DM.
I know, but all of a sudden so many things got scheduled on the 22nd. So potentially the 22nd. We'll see.
So sometime between the 21st and the 23rd, that weekend.
Yeah.
We will do Not Your Ex's Hexes, which is the second book in the Supernatural Singles currently trilogy. It's about the middle sister, which Not the Witch You Wed was about the oldest sister. So I hope everybody looks forward to that. Part of what makes Scum Villain Self-saving System lighthearted is because Shizun's complete inability to read the room.
He has activated my love for oblivious POV characters. Like, he is an unreliable narrator, and I adore that about him, because he's drawing conclusions and they're just wrong. So,
yes. Is there are you looking forward to Not Your Ex's Hexes?
I am. I can't do better, but I'm still gonna say it. Hate these covers. Their covers are just so not accurate. Like, that's not how the sister was described.
It's not.
Yeah.
I feel like before I was just like, yeah, I don't like the covers either. And, like, they're not accurate to the story, but covers not being accurate to character descriptions has like always been a thing. So I didn't think about it too deeply. But I recently saw Not Your Ex's Hexes on a list for like what was it? Body diversity.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, now I really don't like the cover because while there is, I believe, while there is a thick sister, it's not the middle one, and
no,
so
yeah, she's described as looks like a model,
tall and model thin. Yeah,
I'm like, that's just there's nothing wrong with what she looks like. Obviously, that's what but
yeah,
that's not tall and model thin.
Yes, therefore it's one of those things where it's like now this book is on a list that it doesn't fit, and anybody looking for a book like that is going to be surprised that they're not getting what they want, and it's solely based on the cover, and that is unfortunate.
Very.
So
these were my notes for ta-da.
Nice. But I am looking forward to reading it.
Yeah, me too.
So.
And then we'll read volume 4, and then we're doing another thing, which is my pick, which is not actually a romance.
What? No, after volume 4, we do
my next pick after we finish Scum Villain is not actually a romance.
Yes.
No. But yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, I would not. Well, would I? I don't know. There was not a lot of romance in this book, but also the plot could not exist without the romance, so I don't know where my feelings lie on that.
They're just friends that for some reason that friendship could have happened between a master and a disciple.
That's not what I was saying, and you know it.
Yeah, with Scum Villain, like the other MXTX works get adaptations and can be like, they're just friends, really close friends. But this one couldn't because the climax of the book is them fucking.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, for a
they're
romance,
just hugging really intensely, and that somehow fixes all of his chi deviation. Like if it was like animated or live action, they started an animated. It was like 3D animation, which I don't love. It literally looked like a video game, and they did like maybe a season, maybe like 3 episodes. I think they did a whole season, and it's
like the only 2 requirements of a romance is that A, there must be a happy ending, which there is, and B, the plot cannot exist without the romance.
Yeah.
Both of these facts are true, so it does fit in the romance category. I just wanted more of the actual romance.
That's why we have volume 4. Yay! Volume 4 is not going to have nearly as many like sticky notes and stuff. It's going to be like, this was cute. We loved this. Volume 4, Let's Talk is like 20 minutes of us being like, wow, that was great, guys.
It's me. I'm finally a diehard shipper on their ship.
We finally got time with them spending together. Yay!
So yeah, I'm sorry, I like seeing my romances develop.
No, me too.
I don't know what my husband's laughing at. Probably something on his computer. But the timing. Yeah, we're done.
Thank you for coming,
guys. Catch us Mondays at 7 p.m. CB's on my channel a lot this month. Yeah. I don't remember which days exactly.
We're streaming Monday.
Okay, so because Monday you're guesting with RP. Then the next Monday is the Flash Fiction Free-for-All.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you're streaming with Tina on the 24th.
It's a quarterly party. Oh, wait, no. On the 24th, I don't think it's me. But the 31st is a quarterly party.
My calendar, the 31st
is like falling to the side.
You're good. So CB will be on my channel frequently on Mondays at 7 p.m. Whip Wednesday, theoretically, will be between 11 11 to 12, 1, 2, 11 to 2 CB's time, which is Pacific, and 1 to 4 my time, starting the week after next.
Okay.
We have to later on the 12th because I will be visiting my sister.
Okay. Well, that's when people usually roll in, is when we're wrapping up, so that'll be fine. So everyone's getting off of work. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Goodbye. Are you not gonna wave? All right, I'm just waving.